All right, looks like we're live. Yep, there we are. Seems to be going well. Still trialling the YouTube version. Hopefully the light is enough in here. It's getting a bit late. The day before Good Friday. We're literally trying to do 2 days worth of work in one day here. So it's all hands on deck. I've still got work to do. Just get why I'm in the shirt I'm in. I've actually got to go clean some more properties before I get to go home later tonight. Today I want to talk about the Greens, and I talk about the Greens in two ways. I talk about the Greens in terms of politics and policy and the effect on our society, and I talk about it from my belief in God through my Christian beliefs, and how everything obviously gets filtered through your belief system, and I'm no different. So first, my problem with the Greens is they take marginally good ideas, or sometimes even very good ideas, and they push them so far out onto the periphery that it doesn't matter how good the idea was, it's just becomes a bad idea. So in simple terms, let's have a look at the example of that. They're out to save the environment. Now, another discussion could be had on whether that's even really their purpose anymore. But let's go with it as being their purpose still. I think most people would agree that it's a good idea to try to reduce rubbish, clean up things, improve the quality of the air and the water, etc. I don't think anyone disagrees that trying to have a greener life is a bad thing, but they push things so far to and electric cars and the use of coal, all those things. If they had their way, the economy would tank. So coal is a really good example. Coal in Australia is the largest exporter at the moment. Mining in general is the biggest exporter in the Australian economy. It's worth, I think, $70 or $80 billion a year or something like that. If we were to cut that out of the economy, we would literally be bankrupt overnight. And then all of the social activities that they want to pursue, health, education, equality, blah, 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 whatever it might be, there's no money left to fund any of it. And we end up being a third world nation, as I said, overnight. So you can't support them. And the problem is then you can't support it on any part of the scale. You just have to dismiss them. So that's one example. There are extreme views on things like abortion. Now, I'm pro-life, not pro-choice. I don't think that we have the right to kill a human, no matter what age they are, whether they're literally a fetus or they're 100 years old. But put that argument aside for a moment. They're advocating for late-term abortions, so 38-week abortions. And there are certain elements within the Greens party, and certainly that element of the political left, that are now advocating for post-birth abortions. They'll argue things like, well, if they missed the fact that a baby had Down syndrome in the scans and it was born, there are certain elements that now argue, well, we should be able to kill that child out of the womb because we realised after birth that it had Down syndrome or some other issue similar to that. So they're that extreme. So even if you agree with pro-choice, you can't side with the Greens because they're so extreme that they're going to drag any useful argument you might have away from you, and you'll end up having no choice but to either support their extreme views or not support it at all. So you could either support late-term abortion and post-birth abortion or no abortion, because they don't have any middle ground. The Greens don't think there's a middle ground. Those guys think it's our way or the highway. Another thing would be euthanasia. Again, I don't think we have the right to decide who dies. I nursed in nursing homes for 5 years. I saw people die lonely, miserable, slow deaths, and it's tragic. And it it affects you deeply when you work in that environment, and it is cruel. There is no other way to look at it. When someone has that sort of death, it is a cruel death, and it is very sad. And having dealt with that in a professional sense, working in that environment, I got to see that a lot more than the average person does. And I can say, even after that experience, I don't think we have the right to decide when someone dies or allow for them to do so. Now, not just because it's, the super religious idea of it's God's, only God can decide. That's not my argument. My argument is that if you allow euthanasia in any form, at what point do we say, well, that doesn't qualify as a case that can be euthanized, or that does? And the Greens will take it, as I said, same as their last two arguments. They'll take it so far to the left, so extreme, that there are certain elements within the Green left of politics that are calling for kids to allow themselves to be euthanized. If they feel they're got some sort of disease or quality of life. And I'm not even talking about end of life. So I'm not talking about when kids have cancer, for example, and they've got no other option. It's terminal. They are going to die. I'm not talking about that. They're talking about kids who, might suffer some sort of physical injury. Maybe they break their back, for example, and are bound to a wheelchair. They're saying that those kids should be allowed to be euthanized. And that to me is extreme. I know many people in wheelchairs who live a very full life. And yes, it's tragic. It's a huge, a hugely sad event, but it's not necessarily the end of the world, so to speak. So the problem with the Greens isn't necessarily that they have support of certain elements within, certain policies that I disagree with. It's the fact they take them so far to the left that they become unsupportable. They want to do things like literally have open borders. Everybody can come into the country. No need for a background check. No need for useful skills. No need for a criminal check. I have 8 kids. I want to see this country remain great. And part of the reason this country is great is because of the culture that this country has. Now, you can have a whole other debate about why we have the culture we have. The fact that, white Europeans settled here 220 years ago, etc., and all that. That's a separate debate. The point is, we in 2019 live in a country in modern Australia, and we enjoy the modernity that we do because of the sort of people that have created the culture over the last 150 years. If we let whoever we like in, their culture comes with them. And as much as some people don't like it, certain cultures are inferior. And if they weren't, they wouldn't want to be here in the first place, would they? So to throw the gates open, so to speak, is an extreme policy that even if you think it's a good idea to have a healthy immigration intake, and I do, there has to be checks and balances. You can't just, they should have to need proven skills. They should have to pass background checks so they don't have a criminal element that come in. Now, genuine refugees, totally different story to that, and I think that's a scenario that we can discuss at a different time. I'm talking about just general immigration. So there is an issue with the Greens. And the fact that they just spout tolerance, and they're the most intolerant people in Parliament. They're the most intolerant people on social media. They're the most intolerant people I've ever met. What they mean by tolerance is only if you agree with them. So if your opinion is the same as their opinion, great, that's tolerance. If you have a different opinion or a different view and you want to present that argument, that they call intolerance. There's no room in their mind for debate. And to me, that's the most troubling thing about the Greens. That's probably the most dangerous thing about the Greens. If you can't debate things, then the most likely scenario is tragedy, regardless of the good intentions or lack thereof. If you can't actually sit down with people and hash it out, I just see that as deeply troubling. I often talk to my new staff about resolution, and resolution comes through debate. And I often say, if you have two people who come together and I'm obviously specifically talking in terms of work, and they have some issues, but if they sit down together and they're willing to work together and have a conversation, and maybe both of them compromise, but come to a solution through discussion and debate, then that's the best answer. That's true in any area of life. If we can come together as people and have an honest, open, reasonable, calm debate, I think we come to a place that's better than if we don't. And here's the other thing too. You don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you for us to be civil. The Greens don't agree with that. If you don't believe what they believe, in their mind, you're somehow hateful and horrible, and you want to kill everybody, and you want to marginalise everyone, and they just can't see the middle ground. It's either or. It's black or white for them. They don't understand there is nuance and there is a middle ground. So when it comes to the next election on Saturday, May 18th, I want to see as many people as possible put their last. The main reason I want everyone to vote formally is so that they can have their say, and I'm hoping to convince even some people to put the Greens last. Forget about Labor, forget about Liberal. One of them's going to be the government of the day after the next election. But let's try and get the Greens out of our parliament. Let's try to get the Greens out of the decision-making process, because they are truly dangerous. I really sincerely believe that they are the most dangerous force in Australian politics. All right, so I'm not doing a video tomorrow, being Good Friday. I probably won't do one on Sunday either for the same reason. I'll be at church. Hope you will be too. I am camping, so I will try and do one Saturday, but it might be on the side of the lake. See how we go. And then back on Monday. I'm normal on Monday. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Jump in the comment section, share the video. That would be awesome. And I'll talk to you on Saturday.